Prepare for total domination.
I've got a golden ticket.
That's a winner!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ticket. My name is David Sharp, and I'm here with this fine panel of four other young men. We'll start with our producer and my co-pilot, Robert Hickman, Noah Van Bree, a regular, same with Clemson John. And we got somebody new joining us this evening from Ameristar Casino and Resort in St. Charles, Missouri, Eric Ewing. Eric, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's pump it up, Eric. We got the Ameristar. We got the Ameristar Poker Open coming next week, starting next Tuesday, and that is the 17th of this month. Eric, we're having you on to talk about all these great tournaments, and the turnout has been unbelievable in the past. So let's give us a little bit about the schedule coming up next week.
Yeah, so this is our sixth APO, and they've just continually grown and grown. Our last one, we shattered pretty much every record that we had set for our APO series. This one, we're pumping up the buy-in for the main event. It's going to be $1,100, and we'll have a $400 mystery bounty in the middle of the week. The guarantees on that are going to be $100K and $50K respectively. We haven't even we normally triple those guarantees. So expecting some really big numbers and really big turnout this upcoming week.
Dude, all right, great. I know there's a few tournaments that are really, really cool. I mean, they're all really cool, but let's talk about the tag team event to kick it off and how popular that's become and how exciting. Could you explain a little bit about the tag team event?
Yeah, so a tag team is kind of what it sounds like. You and a partner enter the tournament together, and that'll be on Tuesday, the 17th. Will be our opening event. Last time we had, I believe, 266 entries in that. And yeah, we're expecting similar numbers this time. So you enter with your partner, and anywhere between 8 and 20 minutes, we yell out switch on the mic, and no matter what's going on in the hand, you get up and switch with your partner. And it's a lot of chaos, but it's one of those tournaments that's a lot of fun, and people, enjoy that one. So we gave it its own day this time, and expecting some really big numbers for that one.
All right, let's talk about first, what's the buy-in for each individual?
Yeah, it's $250 a team or $125 a person. But you have to have a teammate. You can't run as an individual. So that's kind of the fun of it. You got to have somebody and trust to play with chips that you're going to be playing with in 8 to 20 minutes.
So if two players are still in, you switch to each other's stack. But what happens when one person busts out?
Yeah, so if one person gets eliminated, you just alternate on one stack, or the other person can re-enter to get another stack. There's options of what do you want to do, if you want to keep it a cheap tournament or if you want to keep firing until your heart's desire is met. You can do whatever you want, and it's one of the funnest tournaments we have because it's more laid back. People are drinking, having fun. It's a little less serious, but there's some serious money in it. Like I said, we had over 250 last time, so it ends up being a really good prize pool.
Well, I'm going to put this out there. I'm still looking for a partner to play in the tag team tournament. Since the last time I asked somebody to play, they turned me down. So,
I'm going to tell you that. Well, Robert, I don't feel like lighting $125 on fire. Not this week. But if I ever do feel like throwing $125 in the trash, I will be your partner.
Thanks for making me feel good.
That's what I'm here for. Hey, Eric. Everybody here is not old enough except for me. Let's talk a little bit about the senior event. It's 50 and older, and what's the buy-in for that, and what day is it? I think he's frozen. Is everybody frozen? Noah, are you frozen to the side?
I'm not.
I'm here.
Eric,
No.
Your volume. Eric, there you are.
Yeah, sorry,
okay.
I don't know what happened.
Okay, so unfrozen. Senior event. We were talking senior event before you clicked off. I'm the only one old enough to play in. It is 50 and older, right? And what day is it, and how much is the buy-in?
That one's going to be on Thursday, the 19th at 10 a.m. That one will be a $250 buy-in. That's another one of our super popular ones. Kind of reminds me of dealing in South Florida a little bit since it is a seniors event. But it's
wow.
Hey, just speaking the truth.
You sent John away. You sent John away. He disappeared.
Offended him. My fault. No, that's a good one too. That one you start with a little bit more chips than the other events. You get 20,000 starting stack in that one. So yeah, we're expecting around 2 to 250 in that one. So that one will be another good prize pool.
And what's first place paying something like that?
I think the last one was close to 10,000 for the payout.
Wow.
For first prize.
All right, moving on. You have something new this time. It's called a mystery bounty, and I know this is your creation, from what I understand. Are you and your partners?
So we brought this idea in from a couple other casinos that have done it, but it's never been done in Missouri, to my knowledge. It'll be a first time for the state. So that one will be a $400 buy-in. The starting flights will be Wednesday, Thursday, with day 2 on Friday morning. So the way the mystery bounty works is we only pay out the mystery bounties on day 2. So instead of spreading bounties out throughout the whole tournament and diluting the prize pool, it's only the people that would have been in the money anyways that get the mystery bounty. So anybody that knocks a player out on day 2, you'll receive a mystery bounty card. And then whenever you're ready, you go over to the drum and pull out a mystery envelope, and it will have an amount of what you win on top of whatever cash you win at the end of the tournament. And it's all going to depend on number of entries. But I'm pretty confident we're going to get enough entries to have a 10K prize as our top prize. So
and that could be almost as much as first place, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be, depending on the turnout. And you could be the first or the second one knocked out after you knock out one other person, and you basically be min cashing for 600-700. But instead, now all of a sudden you go pull a bounty and you could pull a 10K bounty out.
Wow, that's really interesting, especially because most bounties are right away, right? You're actually waiting until you're in the money anyway, which I actually really like that idea. And for somebody like me who probably doesn't bust out a whole lot of players, it gives me, even with that one envelope, an opportunity to make some serious money.
For sure. They're almost like a high in a regular tournament and your traditional bounty, because you're only rewarding the bounties to players that would have been in the money anyways. So yeah, I've seen them run other places, and it gets really exciting when you've drawn half the envelopes and that big prize is still in there. Everybody that goes up to pool one starts sweating it even harder. So
sounds like a lot of fun. And the main event in the past has been $400. You have raised it to $1,100. I guess my first question is, I guess it's why are we going to 1,100, and what are we looking at maybe for turnout for that?
Yeah, so we've had some players request bigger buy-ins, like a little bit more of a high roller type event. And this time we put the tag team on its own day because players had suggested that as well. We're just kind of listening to feedback and trying to go with it. Everything so far that we've done with the APO has been super successful. So I'm hoping we can get close to 400,000 in the prize pool, which would obviously break our biggest main event prize pool for the APO ever. And yeah, I mean, for that, we'd need about 450 people between 2 starting flights. So, I think that's very reasonable and, probably doable, so.
All right. Hey, guys, before we let Eric go, because I can tell you from my experience, I go to every APO, and it's absolutely crazy. The cash games are absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to talk to John here because I know John's a big poker player. John, you are a part of these events, especially the cash games. John, do you have any questions for
Eric? Just something off the top of my head. Personally, I love mixed games. So any ideas to get the mixed game player pool up, or maybe get some bigger interest for like a horse or a high-low event? I know in the past the HPT had the horse event that they would get, I think 70 to 90 players in that. Does that sound right?
Something like that. And WSOP used to run them as well. I think you'll see a mixed game if we extend it to a 2-weekend event where we have, kind of like a multi-flight on the first weekend and a big main on the second, because that'll give us more days to, plug tournaments in there. What we did do this time is, I know a lot of the PLO players, our PLO game plays really big. So we've upped the buy-in on that to 400 from 250 to kind of generate a bigger price pool. And I don't know if you know, we've had a 2040 mixed game going 3 days a week pretty consistently at Ameristar now. And that's 2040. They're playing high only Omaha and then Hold'em round for round. So I think mixed games and other games are starting to come back and play more than say in the past. Like for a while there was dead that you couldn't find any kind of high-low stud game, especially in St. Louis. So yeah, I would love to see mixed games because I play them all terribly, but I do love to play different games besides Hold'em.
Yeah. So as far as other mixed games, is it a Missouri gaming thing where they will not allow you to do draw games or something as far as like deuce to 7 triple draw or any draw formats?
Yeah,
John, you're killing me. You're killing me, John, with these triple draws. Just kidding.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure triple draw is not approved in Missouri, which doesn't mean we can't get it approved. But having worked with gaming on some of the stuff for this, like the mystery bounty, they're very fickle and they want to know everything and anything when you introduce something new to the state, because that's their job. So I would love to see a deuce to 7 or a Badoogie or I've played those games in other places a couple times, but
it's just the draw format, isn't it, where they don't like you throwing away cards and getting more, I assume, right?
Right, because you're exchanging cards, so they don't really like that,
All right.
Makes sense.
Hey, John, thanks for the questions. Eric, thank you so much for coming on and explaining the APO to us. Before we let you go, please let anybody who is listening how to get a hold of you guys and where they can get the schedule and how they can talk to you.
Yeah, so the schedule will be on our website, ameristarstcharles.com. It will be under the poker tab. And then if you want to call in and ask questions, I'll be living there the entire series, obviously. But our direct line to the poker room, if you want to get on the wait list or anything like that, is 636-940-4400. And that's a direct line to the poker room. So you'll talk to a supervisor and they'll be able to help you out and answer any questions.
Eric, thank you so much for coming on. Any questions for the Ameristar? I know it's going to be a great time. It's going to be packed all next week. I am going to make a special appearance probably a few of the days there.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate your hard work, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to kind of have to be there. So
Me too, buddy.
Yeah, Eric, thanks for taking the time, and we'll talk to you soon. And go Blues, because I know that's where you're headed.
Oh, yeah. Let's go Blues, baby. See you guys.
All right. Thanks, Eric. All right. That was Eric Ewing from Ameristar St. Charles talking about the Ameristar Poker Open, which is the 17th through the 23rd of next week. And it's just so much fun. I've been a part of it. I know, John, you come up and play the cash games. I don't know if you play tournament at all, but that place is rocking for a whole week, John.
Yeah, for 7 solid days. Doesn't stop.
And you can anything, even if you want to play low limit, high limit, anything you're thinking of, cash game, tournament, they got it all. They got it all during that week. So very exciting. I know I'm going to be a part of it. And I know, John, I'm sure you'll make an appearance or two during the week, right?
Or 3
or 4.
Yeah,
for sure.
Or 3 or 4 or 6. Well, we're going to get off poker here in a second, but it is really a time for a poker player to get in action because the cash games are so good. You've got a lot of people coming in from out of town, and there's so many different choices of games, John, and they're running all night. Yeah,
just never stops, like you said, for 7 straight days. It'll go and not miss a beat.
All right, Robert. All right, let's get to a little NBA.
Hold on. Before we get to the NBA, we have to talk about something, David.
Not the Packers.
No. Well, they did release their schedule this week, but there was a big event that happened last week, David. What did we talk about last week?
Oh, the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. And
that was last week.
Yeah. So short-minded. Yeah, but the long shot who didn't even know he was going to be racing until Friday morning comes in as the 80 to 1 odds winner, Rich Strike. From literally, when you watch the clip, from literally the back of the pack to the front, it is probably one of the coolest videos ever.
Okay, so great aerial view. If you haven't had a chance to see it, Robert, do you know how they can check it out? Because the aerial view was unbelievable.
Yeah, there's you can check it out on YouTube or anything. They have quite a few different copies.
Right. So I do want to. You didn't ask me the key question. Is how did I do?
I was going to say, how did you do?
Well, Noah, you can attest. Secret Oath was a winner for me, right, on Friday, the Kentucky Oaks, right?
David, Secret Oath was a winner for us on Friday.
Yes, I love it. There he is. There's my man. It's us. And then I lost on Saturday, right?
Yeah, that one was you, man.
So what happened? Secret Oath just absolutely dominated. She is unbelievable. I know I've talked about her constantly when I've talked about horse racing and D. Wayne Lucas. And I did use Hidden Connection almost as much as I use Secret Oath. But I want to talk about the Derby in this 80-1 shot. I did not directly pick it, but I did make a bet Secret Oath all in the Oaks Derby double. And down the stretch, I know that I'm cashing very good with the 3 and the 10, the 2 favorites, right? I know I have this big Secret Oath double, daily double. That means winner of both races with those 2 head and head. And here comes my backup ticket. I had 1, which was Secret Oath with all just for $1. It was a $22 ticket. And as they crossed the wire, I didn't realize what number it was until they crossed the wire. But the $1 backup ticket paid me $975. So I actually did not pick Rich Strike to win it, but it was a backup ticket. It was like a hedge that I did. If Secret Oath won, I wanted to make sure that I cashed something and would be close to breaking even. And so I took all the long shots behind on a $1 ticket, which would have got me at least even if anyone would have won, because I did put some serious money into 1, 3, 1, 10 daily doubles, which was Zandon and Epicenter, and Smile Happy were my 3 keys that I had huge daily doubles with. So I can say I won the Derby in an indirect way, and it's a lot of fun because most people looked at their tickets and looked who they had and probably like, what the fuck? So can I say that on YouTube? Can I say that?
We can say that, yeah.
Okay, so and that's exactly what I said because I didn't know who it was. I thought it was number 2, and when I looked at the 2, the dollar ticket was paying $526 with the 2. So I was kind of happy, that I made a little bit on the Derby, but I was happier when I saw it was a 21 because that was the biggest payout that there was on the backup ticket. $1 daily double paid $975, and I can't tell you.
I was just gonna say there's a story about a little kid, 8 years old. His mom let him put $20 on whatever horse he wanted, and he picked Rich Strike for his $20.
Wow.
And yeah,
that's 100.
What's that? 16,000?
No, $1,640.
1,600.
Yeah, $1,643 or something like that. That's crazy. Noah, I'm sorry I couldn't get you home for the Derby, but I know you made a tiny bit. Or did you let it all ride? Did you take all your Secret Oath money and let it ride?
I did. I thought why not? That's house money in that situation, and just throw it out the Derby.
How many times can you get away with betting horses on an entire weekend and breaking even? To me, that's a win.
That is, yeah. Full weekend of fun for free. I'll take it.
All right. Well, Robert, I'm glad you brought that up. It's not that I'm short-minded. I'm moving on to the Preakness. My brain's already on the Preakness, and it's going to be a short field this year. I don't even know if the Derby winner is going to run. So we haven't.
They are not.
I think they announced he's not going to today, right?
Yeah,
he is not going to run, but they will run in the Belmont.
Yeah, it's probably a smart move. We're not going to have a Triple Crown winner. It's kind of disappointing. And normally what happens is the Derby winner automatically goes into the Preakness because they want a chance at the Triple Crown. Pimlico is a very speed biased racetrack, and you're not going to get the same setup that you got at the Derby. The Derby was like a perfect storm for this kind of horse to win. 80-1 shots just don't win like that. It was we call it suicidal fractions, meaning they were going so fast up front that it set up perfect for Rich Strike to come from behind and barely get up to win. In my mind, the best horse didn't win the race. It was just set up for, and I will say that the jockey gave the horse a perfect ride, an incredible ride, even though he's a leading rider at a B track, Belterra Park and Mahoning Valley in Ohio. He does very well. He wins about 24% of his races, which is incredible for a jockey. He does very well in the B circuits. So he's very familiar with how to ride, and he rides for the top trainers at the B tracks. So I'm sure he was a little bit nervous. He says he was excited more than nervous, but once they're riding in a race, I don't think they're thinking it's the Kentucky Derby. I think he's just, I think they're professional and they do it every day. And it's just like anything else. Once you get started, all the nerves are gone and you ride. And he gave that horse a perfect ride. I got to give the guy credit. Sonny Leone, it's one of the best rides I've ever seen in any race. So props to him. All right, we got to talk some basketball. Noah, John, let's start with you, Noah. What are you thinking so far about these basketball playoffs, the NBA playoffs?
Well, I'm the Suns Maverick series is playing out exactly how I thought it would. I thought that the home team would just about take every game, and I know that the Suns were the best road team in the NBA, straight up. I think they were 32-9 in the regular season, but currently, as of right now, the Mavericks are winning 62-45. The third quarter just started, so that one's exciting. It's looking like it'll head to a game 7 at this point, unless the Suns can pull a comeback. But I think the Suns take it in 7 at home. I think the home team wins every game of that series.
And Luka and Devin Booker really do not like each other.
No, they've been getting chippy. They're like Jordan Poole and John Morant.
Talk to me about John. Talk to me about the Suns, because that's my favorite team, and I lived in Phoenix for 16 years. I like what you're saying, Noah, and I'm trying to be impartial with this show, but it's really hard because I'm like Robert with the Green Bay Packers. I am a huge Suns fan. So, John, your thoughts on the Suns and what's going on with them?
Well, I mean, they look like the team they've always been since the veteran Chris Paul got there. Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul's a perfect mix if you think about it. DeAndre Ayton's young, Booker's young. It's a very young team, and here comes the veteran Chris Paul to kind of be the glue to hold that team together, really. And they're going to have as good of a shot at a title this year as they have had. So, I mean, to second what Noah was saying, it's going to be the home team, I believe, too. If they don't come back tonight, then expect them to be probably, I would assume, like a -3 favorite or so at home in a game 7. So I would expect the Suns to win game 7 as well, and then look on to the Western Conference Finals, and then another NBA Finals appearance. So that wouldn't surprise anybody if the Suns are back in the finals.
Robert, your thoughts?
Well, I was just going to ask, John, what do you think, it would take if they do go to the finals? What do you think it takes for them to win this time?
It would really help if Giannis Antetokounmpo, or however you say his name, obviously. Let's just go with Giannis, right? But I figured I'd try it, and I butchered it. So anyway, I think the Suns' best shot at winning a title is Giannis not showing up for the finals somehow.
Yeah, he's such a dynamic player that whenever he does play, I mean, he could truly change the way the game is. They announced that the MVP awards would be now called the Larry Bird Eastern Conference MVP and the Magic Johnson Western Conference MVP.
Okay. Wow. Huh. I kind of like that. I like that.
Wait. Do you guys think that has anything to do with the show on HBO called Winning Time? Seriously. I mean, because they played up that rivalry from their rookie year. I mean, is that? Yeah. You think?
Oh, maybe. I didn't think about that.
I mean, because that's really been popular. John, have you guys? Noah, start with you. Have you seen this? Have you seen this this show on HBO?
I have not.
Okay, you're gonna have. It's a 10-part series. You guys are gonna have to see this. This is amazing. It's so well done. It shows how the Lakers got started when they were first bought by Dr. Buss. And it was really, really well done. And I'm thinking, maybe the popularity of both Bird and Johnson have always been there, but this has really brought them, back out into the forefront of what's going on this show.
Yeah, it's a way to honor history. I love honoring history. So Indiana State and Michigan State played in the national championship, and I believe that was 79. But yeah, and then Bird and Magic play in the NBA finals a lot in the 80s. So it's a great way to really honor an era of basketball is what I like about it.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
go ahead, Robert.
I was going to say, speaking of the Lakers, though, have you guys heard that Phil Jackson wants to potentially trade LeBron? I'm going to take that as no. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this story that's saying that he wants to trade LeBron and start building the Lakers around Westbrook instead of LeBron.
You're kidding. That's got to be a joke. That is comical.
That's got to be a joke.
Yeah,
that has to be satirical. That is the most disgusting thing I think I've ever heard.
Somebody may have heard that in the next bathroom stall over and printed it. I don't know about that. I think the source on that, the guy in the bathroom, it's just, yeah.
It's I can't even finish the story. It's a story. It's on Yahoo Sports though. They said that he's looking it is being reported that he might trade LeBron and build the team around Westbrook.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'd be fine trading LeBron. When you have a point guard whose strongest attribute is not shooting the ball, you've got a problem. And I mean, like his nickname is West Brick for a reason. The dude is trash. There's no way Phil Jackson's building a squad around him.
Yeah. I mean, Westbrook's biggest asset is himself. That's his biggest asset. He doesn't know how to get anybody involved. He's just terrible. He plays when he wants. Westbrook, I'm a Houston Rockets fan. I've been a Houston Rockets fan my whole life. And when CP3 left and he came to Houston, I hated every second of it. I watched a lot of games that year. All he does is play when he wants. He plays defense when he wants. He just does everything that he wants to do. So, yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the less I have to talk about Westbrook or Westbrick, the better.
Wow. John, tell us how you really feel.
Oh, gosh. I had to watch him play and then get rid of CP3. By the way, if they keep CP3 in Houston with Harden in his prime like that, I mean, they were so close to getting to an NBA Finals at halftime of the Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. They had an 11-point lead on Golden State. And then Scott Foster happened.
Harden didn't want to be there, though. He asked out.
Well, yeah, they couldn't get along. So if Harden and CP3 could have gotten along and stayed together with that nucleus they had, man, that was the team that could have had a championship. They were so close in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
This is what I couldn't wait. I missed this. We haven't heard this kind of passion from Clemson John since college football season. He is fired up. I love it.
Well, I was looking up I was looking up plane tickets to Game 1 of the NBA Finals against Cleveland that year. I was going to Houston. I was so excited. And then Scott Foster had to happen in the second half. Yeah, by the way, if you guys don't know who Scott Foster is, he's the ref that never lets the Rockets win. He's like Scott Foster in games that Chris Paul plays in, playoff games. He's 0 for 13. It might as well be 0 for 30 because Scott Foster just never lets the Rockets win. It's just a proven fact. And that happened in the second half. Go look it up.
That sounds like every NFL official when the Packers lose. Speaking of James Harden, though.
Get the Packers in there. Got to get the Packers in.
Speaking of James Harden, the Philadelphia 76ers have fallen to the Miami Heat tonight, 99-90, with the Heat taking that series 4-2.
Yeah, and Harden played terrible. 11 points, 4 of 9 shooting in 43 minutes. And we've been saying it the whole time. The dude is not a winner. He's a great player, but he can't show up when he needs to. He's like Garrett Cole. He's the Garrett Cole of the NBA.
Wow.
He showed up pretty good in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals in 2018.
They lost that game, though, didn't they?
not because of Harden.
Scotty Foster for that.
Scott Foster, yeah. Harden shot a three. Harden shot a miracle three. Yeah, he shot a miracle three, 4-point play. He drew a foul on Klay Thompson, banked in the miracle three in the third quarter. Nope, we're going to blow the play dead. It's on the floor. No shot, no free throws. Take the ball out. We missed the shot, and Durant gets a three-pointer on the other end. It's a 7-point swing, and that was just a microcosm of that second half. We had an 11-point lead at halftime, and I was looking up plane tickets. Oh, and I said, all these people running their mouth about Golden State and not thinking Houston could get there. They hadn't watched Houston all year. Oh, my gosh, it was just so close. But ever since it's been downhill for Harden, it's been downhill. He's been out of shape. He's not wanted to be in Houston. He didn't want to be in Brooklyn. I think he wanted to be in Philly, but it's just he may be past his prime, man. He may be past his prime, and he may not be in the best shape.
John?
Yeah.
Do you have a blood pressure machine?
Yeah. Blood pressure? No, I mean, I don't have like irregular blood pressure. I just get those memories going, man. I was looking at plane tickets, plane tickets.
Real quick, let's talk about
I'm sure your blood pressure is just fine, John.
I don't have any irregularity blood pressure, But hey, we got to have something to get the blood pumping in between now, because I love baseball, but it can be rather slow, and we're getting into that June, July part.
Yeah.
So where I just get anxious for football, and we got the NBA Finals, so I got to get the blood pressure pumping for something,
All right.
Well, what about the other two series? Go ahead.
The other two. Oh, Golden State. I hope Golden State just loses every game for here to eternity. The last Golden State Warriors fan I ever knew before, the only Golden State Warrior fan I knew growing up was like Danny Tanner from Full House. Does anybody remember the show Full House by the chance? I'm 36, so anybody in their mid-30s or so, like growing up, you watched that little show Full House, and the dad, Danny Tanner, had Golden State Warrior stuff all over the house. That was the last Golden State Warrior fan I ever knew was Danny Tanner.
So you're taking Golden State to win the series?
Oh, they should have lost game 1. They should have lost game 4. I just hate them. I have such a disdain for watching him chew on his damn mouthpiece all the time and Draymond jumping up and down all the time for nothing, Oh, I'm done with the Golden State Warriors.
And Noah, your analysis?
Well, hold on. No, before you start, by the way, as we're doing this, it is Thursday evening, and the Blues game's on in my background. The Blues just took a 3-0 lead.
Good for the Blues.
Yeah, they are up 3-0. They are up 3-2 in the series. So how exciting that is. Noah, now we have to get back to you because John needs to take a minute.
Yeah, John needs to eat a Snickers bar.
Oh, no. I had a great meal before we started this show, by the way. A great meal. A good Southern-style hot dog with great chili, a great side of macaroni and cheese. It was phenomenal. So, yeah.
Hold on, time out. What's the difference between a Southern hot dog and a regular hot dog?
Yeah, that's what I was going
to Oh, man. Yeah.
Please explain.
It's really – it depends on – if you like, so I do not like coleslaw, so I'll preface this by saying I don't like coleslaw, but a lot of people in the Southeast put coleslaw on the hot dog. They call it a slaw dog, and they get it all the way, which means like onions, relish, ketchup, mustard. I don't eat none of that stuff. All I do is for my Southern style hot dog, it's just a nice blend of slow-cooked meaty chili with no beans, because you don't put beans on a hot dog. I don't care about those Chicago people, because you don't put beans on a hot dog. If you're going to eat a bowl of chili, it can have beans in it, right? That's fine. Beans, peppers, onions, whatever. But I'm actually in an intense debate right now. I'm in an intense debate on this food snob group I'm in on Twitter. It's a food snob group. So they posted a picture of a Chicago dog with a whole pickle and whole tomatoes on it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
No, you don't eat cold vegetables on a hot dog. No. If you're going to eat it right, you get all meat and you get cheese and you layer it with cheese and just the best chili meat that you've ever had in your life. And you got to make sure the bun's steamed for a few minutes too. You don't heat it up in the microwave. You got to steam it.
Not only do we have to check your blood pressure, we have to check your cholesterol. No,
these are different conversations, you know. But yeah, that may be true. You may be true.
So no Chicago dog. What about a Pacific Northwest dog?
Oh God, what the hell is that?
I don't know if it's actually a thing, but when I was in Seattle, I got a hot dog with like a cream cheese spread and grilled onions on top.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was delicious.
It's a lot better than that damn whole pickle and whole tomatoes and whatever the hell else they put on that Chicago dog.
No. The best hot dog is the one that you get in the green seats at Busch Stadium. It's a hot dog that's bacon wrapped.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Where is this show going? I want to know.
Baked beans and fried onions on top.
Yes, that is a great one. Now, the baked beans you can do it or not do it, but the reason that dog is made what it is because that bacon wrapped dog. The bacon wrapped on it is great, you know.
I'm hungry. That's all I know.
Hey, babe, can we get a slaw dog? She didn't answer. I don't know.
No kidding.
All right. Wait. What about the last game in the NBA final or series right now? The Boston-Milwaukee game.
Yeah, that one's interesting. There's been a lot of road wins in that series. The Bucks took the first game. They clobbered the Celtics, and the Celtics returned the favor and clobbered them. And then we had a really close game 3, and then the Celtics were able to take game 4, and then the Celtics just blew game 5 at home. So the Celtics should be up 3-2 right now, but you know, we've seen the road team has not had an issue winning games in the series. So I'm curious to see if the Celtics bring it again and bring this back to Boston. Gotta lean Milwaukee at this point, just because I thought this series was going game 7 from the beginning. So I'm sticking with that, even though it makes sense to take the Bucks at home after the way the series has gone. But I think the Celtics steal one, and I think maybe the Bucks win in Boston to end the series. So
yeah, you got to believe in Giannis until proven otherwise.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Guys, before we move on to baseball, Noah, we'll start with you. Do you have a favorite as the way it sits right now? We're looking at it on a Thursday night, the 12th of May, I believe it is, right? The 12th of May.
Sure.
Who are you looking at to take it all?
In baseball?
No,
basketball,
we're still in basketball. Before basketball, who do you like to take it all right now? Is where it sits right now before we get into the weekend.
Oh man, I'm sorry, John. Maybe the Warriors at this point. I know they just had a terrible showing, but they've got that championship DNA.
And maybe Scott Foster will show up for them. You know.
All right, John, lay it on us. Who do you at this point? Who do you like?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that we very well may be looking at what we've seen last year with Phoenix and Milwaukee. I just hope Phoenix takes it to Golden State. If they meet in the Western Conference Finals, I hope Scott Foster doesn't coach. He doesn't referee a game, and I hope Phoenix just takes it to Golden State and embarrasses them. Is what I hope. I hope Steph Curry goes 3 for 30 from the 3-point line. That's what I hope happens.
Robert, this is our second YouTube edition, and this is so much better getting to see John's facial reactions. Look at that face.
I just got memories, man. I just got memories of them damn Golden State Warriors, you know.
That is a face made for YouTube.
All right, guys, we do have to cover some baseball. Noah, we'll start with you. Just in general, your thoughts of the baseball season. You can pick wherever you want to go with this. Your thoughts on the baseball season so far, anything that has impressed you and anything that you are disappointed about so far with any team, any player, your thoughts.
I'm disappointed with the dead ball so far, and I feel a bit hypocritical because back in, I think, like 2016 might have been like the first year I really started to notice it. The ball was flying out of the yard. They were breaking home run records, and I was like, this ball is juiced. Like, this is no fun. Well, now we see what it looks like on the other end. I think the league OPS right now is around 682, and it's usually right around the 740 mark. So it's been horrific to watch. And this is one thing I've noticed. Like, you see a lot of players will hint balls after they hit them, and they'll just be caught at the warning track. And you'll see them walking the dugout. They'll be like, what the hell was that? Like, you can see them mouthing it. And also, I've been to a few games, and when you sit like on the side where the ball goes up in the air, and you can, like, as a human being, we can, like, kind of put a rough trajectory of where that ball is going to go based on the velocity and launch angle. And you can kind of predict whereabout it's going to land. You'll see that ball go up, and it'll kind of just lose entropy and just, like, almost fall down. So I've been really disappointed with that. I don't know if they'll do it mid-season or not, but I hope they fix the baseball. But also disappointed with the Cardinals pitching staff continuously. They just lost 2 or 3 to the Orioles, so remains to be seen what happens there.
Okay, positive? Anything that you're enjoying about this season so far?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Well.
No, I hate to say it. I've really enjoyed watching the Mets. They obviously had the comeback win against the Cardinals in the 9th inning where they scored 5. And
Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets! Let's go Mets!
All right, I'm turning your microphone off.
Oh, what are you talking about, Robert? I don't turn your microphone off when we talk about the Packers. Noah, please continue.
That 7-run inning against the Phillies to win that game 8-7, that was incredible. They have a lot of wins that you see, and it might be too early in the season, but, like, if you remember that 2011 Cardinals team, they were winning games in ways that were unbelievable, and you could kind of start to feel like, all right, this team's got something. There's that DNA that we talk about within the club, and I think they're injected with that. So it's really early. The Mets have a history of falling apart, so that's always on the table. But I've enjoyed kind of watching them so far.
I.e. the 2006 National League Championship Series.
I.e. Pedro and El Duque getting hurt and substituting Oliver Perez and John Mayne or something. But yeah, you were saying. Oh, okay.
Oh, John. All right. Wow. All right. Hey, John. Same question for you. Something that you're not happy with so far, or maybe just a little disappointed with, and something that you're impressed with in the season.
Two things, I guess. I mean, the pitch. You were talking about the Mets, and their pitching staff is really coming along. That Tyler McGill kid is becoming maybe kind of a gem of a young guy that we found. They were concerned about him tipping his pitches, though. He gave up 8 runs his last start in the first couple of innings. Did you see that when he gave up 8 runs in the first couple of innings, Noah?
No, I did not.
Yeah, they were saying something about he gave it up to the Nationals too, which is can be, that's not the greatest lineup outside of Juan Soto, but they were concerned about him tipping his pitches. But when they substitute one of those guys because right now that staff is looking like, of course, Scherzer, Bassett, Taijuan Walker, McGill, and Carrasco. So who are they going to take out of that rotation, I guess, when DeGrom gets back if he's healthy? Carrasco, you think?
Yeah, put him in the pen for sure.
Yeah, I would think so too, because this McGill kid looks like a strong young starter. So I would think so too. New guy for the Cardinals, Yepes, he is tearing the cover off the ball.
Yeah, he's been good. He's been really good. And the interesting thing about him is watch him closely. When he gets 2 strikes, he'll change his stance. He's like open and wide and kind of, loosey-goosey. But then when he gets 2 strikes, closes up the stance, gets tight, chokes up on the bat. Really, that's what you're taught in Little League. Like 2 strikes, choke up, make contact.
Right.
He does that. And he also mashes. He hits for power. So hopefully he'll be a disciplined hitter. that can also hit the ball out of the yard. Yeah, and he's been hitting in the cleanup spot. So that shows how much the Cardinals think of him.
So what do you think they're going to do? The Cardinals are going to do at shortstop, or what would you like to see them do, I guess?
Well, it was one of my favorite moments, I think, in sports history when I saw that they sent down DeYoung, because I was unsure they could do it.
Yeah, I agree.
The guy who needed to go down. The guy who needed to go down, and a lot of people were mad.
He's gracious about it. He's gracious about it. He put out a thing in The Athletic that said, hey, I understand that they did this because I'm struggling and I know I need to work on myself. So when I'm going to go to AAA, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to get right and get back to being the all-star that I was.
Yeah, that's how you have to approach it. That's great.
Yeah, what he's really saying when he's not using his agent to put a statement for, what he's really saying is, this freaking sucks. I hate this shit. And you come on, really? You think he likes being sent down? I mean, come on. Are you serious? Nobody likes being sent down.
Did Paul DeYoung say, I'm going to get back to being the all-star I am? Did he actually say that?
Not those words exactly, but he said, I'm going to get back to the form that I was.
Gotcha. Because I'm going to say he's made one all-star game, and that's because that year the Cardinals literally did two. I remember one year he made it. He had like a 247 batting average at the time, but every team gets one representative, so they just had to they just had to put a guy in there. So that's why I thought that was so funny.
Hey, breaking news real quick. The Blues now lead 4-0.
There it is.
And in the elimination game, first round, I love it. I love it. And Binnington, by the way, is playing unbelievable. If he does close this game out, that'll be 3 wins in a row for him. And I think he has solidified his starting spot again, right?
He loves to prove himself, doesn't he?
He's a playoff goalie.
Yeah.
When things are on the line, he plays his best. Because I even in the middle of the season, I will admit, going back to my Facebook post, that I called him garbage because
you did call him garbage
because every game that he was playing, we lost and we were losing by 4 goals. And when Husso was playing, that was when we were playing our best. But he proved, just like he did in 2019, that he is a playoff goalie. So
yeah, it seems like he loves to play up to the moment and loves to prove himself.
Yeah.
The problem is if you don't play good during the season, you don't make the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to tell you guys what I'm excited about, or with baseball that I've been interested in, and that's the the Los Angeles Angels over the last week and a half. They had Reed Detmer, who throws a no-hitter as a rookie, which I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a really interesting minor league team called the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and Detmers used to pitch for them, and in their very first game ever, he threw a no-hitter for them. Wow. So pretty cool. And then batting 1,000, going 1 for 1 from the left side of the plate, Mr. Anthony Rendon, after the Angels were up 10-0 and they put the Tampa Bay Rays put Brett Phillips in the game, Rendon decided to bat left-handed and yoked a 2-run home run.
Wow.
Never batted left-handed his whole career, and he hits a 2-run shot.
That's crazy. Anybody?
Yeah, the Angels are looking. The Angels are looking like they're a solid team, though. I don't think they're going to collapse. I think they're going to be in there towards September for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see them there. Their pitching staff is very decent, and they have a good bullpen to back up the starters. So
yeah, outside of Noah Syndergaard taking a stab at the Mets no hitter, did you hear about that, Noah?
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah. He said, what did he say? That's what a real no hitter looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching Thor pitch, but he'll be. I mean, who's to say he won't be back on the DL in July anyway?
All right, this is an open question for all of you. I'll just start with John because I know John probably has an opinion. John, we haven't talked much about the draft. We talked a little bit about it before, but who's a big winner in the draft? Looks like the Jets. I don't know if the Jets are going to be anything, but what are your thoughts on the draft?
Well, I know that if this wide receiver stays healthy, then the Kansas City Chiefs might have just got the it's a big if. He's got a bum knee, and he's got a problem with bone issues that's kept him out a while. But they didn't know if he's going to play football again. But if he's healthy, then the Kansas City Chiefs might have just got the best undrafted free agent of a wide receiver in Justin Ross in the history of wide receivers being undrafted. Because obviously they thought he was going to go first round years ago, but he's been hurt. So the Chiefs got him as an undrafted free agent. So that's something to look out for in Justin Ross.
All right, John, we're not letting you go just yet. Noah, I know you got to run. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on again this week, and we'll have you back next week, right? Sounds good?
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Noah. All right, John, other than Kansas City, let's talk about I'm curious about Detroit. Detroit, what's going on there? And Jared Goff's still their quarterback. What's going on with them? How are they looking?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing it seems like there's not much that's changed with the same old Lions. Then they're just going to be the same old Turkey Day Lions. Then we're going to watch them on Turkey Day. And, that's the one game they're going to get up for. And they're going to be 3-14 or 5-13 or 5-12 at the end of the year, rather. So there's nothing going to be new with the old Detroit Lions, I don't believe.
All right, Robert, I want you.
Actually, real quick, I'm excited to see St. Louis native and Cardinal Ritter alumni from Alabama, Jamison Williams, play up there in Detroit. I know he's playing in the NFC North against. Never mind, David will yell at me.
No. Go ahead.
Against the Packers, but I'm excited to see him twice a year play against them and see what he can do. I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I just wished he had more of a supporting cast. That offensive line has been horrendous.
Look, man, when you play in Detroit, you don't get a supporting cast. Ask Matthew Stafford.
All right, hey, real quick, Robert, and we'll go to Green Bay just for you. Just a few thoughts on the draft, and I'm still really surprised Davante Adams decided to go to the Raiders.
I am, but I'm not. I was when it happened, just because there was no indication that was something that was going to happen. But I think our two draft picks, our two wide receivers that we picked up in the draft, I think are going to be great ball players. I'm excited to see them. We just signed the two defensive players to contracts that we picked up in the first round. This year's going to be, I think, a good year. We picked up Sammy Watkins, who a lot of people say is not a huge pickup for us, but he's going to fill that slot position where MVS was. We re-signed Bobby Tunyon, and I'm just excited for Packer football. They just released a schedule. Week 5, we play in London against the New York Football Giants. So let's play ball, man.
Is the Clemson receiver that they drafted last year still in Green Bay? Artavis Scott?
Yes, he is. He is he's on the depth chart, but yeah, he didn't play very much.
He didn't play much last year, but he may fill some time. He was a good receiver at Clemson.
Yeah.
All right. Hey. All right. Let's talk about a little Clemson, John. Since we got you here, I know we're 3 months out.
Let's see. It's May, June, July. Yeah, we're about 2.5 months away from media days, and getting some the ACC, SEC, all the conference media days. So we're about 2.5 months away. So it'll be here before we know it. This is how it always works. We just moan and groan for football this time of year, and then it gets here before we know it. So. It'll be here, and
right,
everybody's doubting my Clemson Tigers as usual.
Well, can you give an unbiased? Well, that's insane for me to say, but can you give some kind of formal, close to unbiased opinion on your Clemson Tigers this year and their shot to go all the way?
Well, I mean, they got to their offensive line's got to be fixed. That's their biggest problem. I mean, everybody jumped all over DJ as the quarterback, and he gets a lot of the blame. He did make a lot of boneheaded throws, a lot of plays that, showed his youth. But, we got to fix our offensive line. It doesn't matter if it's DJ or the new kid out of Texas, Cade Klubnik, which this kid's, I believe he's been undefeated in high school, coming in, one of the top quarterbacks in the country. So that's going to be my prediction. Is I don't think that DJ's going to make it out of the year starting. If he transfers, he transfers. I don't know, whatever these kids decide with transferring, that's another topic. But, I think that by game 4, around there, that Cade Klubnik's going to take that job as far as starting quarterback. I just hope we fix our offensive line. Our receivers are going to be loaded. We've got a heck of a running back in Will Shipley. Defense is going to be phenomenal. Our defensive line, this defensive line might be, and this is saying a lot, obviously, but this defensive line coming in this year might be as good as that 2018 defensive line that allowed just 2 touchdowns in the whole playoff 3 years ago.
Okay, John, appreciate you so much for spending the time with us. Wow, that hour flew by, man. Boy, did we have a good time. Got your blood pumping. I don't think you need to go run a mile. I think you just did it right there in your chair.
Yeah, you got to do something this time of year to keep it going. We're getting into where it's only one sport coming up,
Yeah, well, we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
We'll make it through it.
It'll be baseball by itself for a little over a month, right? And and then we'll get through it, and we'll have plenty to talk about as we get ready for the college football and NFL season. Thanks again for coming on. We'll have you back next week. Sound good?
Yeah, anytime, guys. Always happy to help.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Clemson John, everyone, and we'll see him next week.
Yeah, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
See you, buddy.
Hey, Robert. Man, this has been a lot of fun. This hour absolutely flew by. Just so much fun talking to the guys. And, man, it's so much better doing video, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So much fun doing video. And for YouTube, we're having so much fun with this. I don't know. I'm having a blast. Get to see people's facial expressions. I mean, it's man, gotta love it. We're all characters in our own way. Before we go, we got to talk about a few things. You ready?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Next weekend on Saturday, May the 21st, from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. Over in Venice, Illinois, at 401 Broadway. Dude, I'm excited for this. I love these things. The classic car cruise in, and it's free to the public. Bring a lawn chair and come check out some amazing classic cars and trucks.
Yeah, and let them know who to get a hold of and if they want to participate.
Yeah, if you want to participate, get a hold of Derek Wise at 618-823-8912. Or you can shoot him an email at derekwise1970@gmail.com. It's the first annual Classic Car Cruise-In at 401 Broadway in Venice, Illinois at the Venice Recreation Center.
Yeah, not only that, I got to see some pictures of Derek's own cars, and I wish I could go. I really do. I wish I could go. It's Preakness Day, so I will be preoccupied doing some Preakness stuff, I guess. I don't know, some handicapping show. I don't know. I'm going to be doing some handicapping. I'll be doing some betting on Preakness Day. Unfortunately, I can't make it to this one. But I hope if you get a chance to, whoever's out there and would love classic cars, I suggest absolutely get a hold of Derek or just show up and hang out and have a good time. Also, on our website at thewinningticket21.com, you can see a flyer of this event, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can. It's right there on the front page of the website. And you know what's cool, dude, is go check out the classic cars. And then on your way home, maybe I'm trying to remember my location. We're Edwardsville.
It's not far away. Wigglers is not that far from this event.
Yeah. So on your way home, stop at Wigglers Bar and Grill. It's at 7243 St. James Drive in Edwardsville, Illinois. And what was the things that you and Noah had? The mini beers or whatever they were called?
They're mini beers. It might have been seriously the best drink shot I've ever swallowed. And it is all I can tell you is that I had to stop while we were on the air of drinking them. But the food was amazing. The owners are fantastic. The Vanderwheels are just absolutely great people. And it's a great environment. You can, watch sports, hang out, eat good food, drink some good drink. And I just can't recommend that place enough. I just have a great time every time I walk in that place.
Yeah, they're open every day until 2 a.m. So go check them out. Give them a call at 618-655-0803. Let them know you're coming in and let them know you heard about it right here on The Winning Ticket.
Yeah. Also, what else we got? We got to talk about the factory. What's going on there, Robert?
Dude, they've got a lot of stuff going on. Bastel is going to be there at the end of the month, but I think I might go to the Pat Benatar concert.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know you talked about, I was going to say, you talked about seeing her in concert, but I think I might go to the show. I'm not for sure. But, I don't know who this is. Alyssa Edwards, June 17th. She's, this might be, I don't think this is a she. I think this is like RuPaul.
Okay.
Alyssa Edwards. But it looks interesting. Like, I caught my attention as I'm scrolling through the page. So go check them out. June 25th, Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin evening. That should be awesome.
Nice.
And then you can also check out the Australian Pink Floyd show. So if you want to know more information, though, go to thefactorystl.com.
All right, Robert, this has been a bunch of fun. Man, the Blues are up 4-0 this is Thursday, May 12th. The Blues are up 4-0 heading into the third period. I can't wait to watch the end of this game and let them close out round one.
It's going to be awesome, man. I'm not sure who we take on after this, but, Tampa Bay, the two-time back-to-back defending national Stanley Cup champions, they just even the series at 3, they are not trying to go away. So shout out to St. Louis and Patty Maroon down there in Tampa trying to win a third cup.
Hey, the Florida Panthers, how they doing?
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah, let's look that up real quick before we head out. I'm curious.
I don't think they're in the playoffs.
And the reason why I'm asking is Pat Day, who has been on our show before, and he kind of touted the Florida Panthers a little bit, and I'm curious to see what their series is at.
You know what? Let's take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look at that before we head out, because I want to give a little shout out to my man Pat Day and his hockey advice, and we're going to have him back on real soon.
So Florida is currently leading the series against the Capitals 3-2, and they will play on Friday night. So,
okay. All right. Well, we'll have to give an update next week. We're going to have the boys back next week. We're also next week going to have Greg Damon from KMOX. We're going to have him back next week. We're going to talk a little Cardinal baseball, and I imagine we'll have something to talk about the Blues.
Right, some Blues hockey too.
Yes, some Blues hockey. All right. Robert, we've had a great time. This is our second YouTube event, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it. I know this is also going to go on our podcast. Robert, please let everybody know how to look us up and how to listen to us.
Yeah, if you go to thewinningticket21.com, click on where to listen. There's an option right there for you to be able to find all of our viewing and listening options. YouTube, Apple Podcast, Amazon, iHeart. And then when you go to YouTube, this is going to be episode number 28. You can search for episode 28 there, as well as the Winning Ticket 21 right there on YouTube.
Hey, we've had a great show. I also want to mention the poker guys. We haven't done that, right?
Yeah, we do. We are going to be joined here soon by our good friends in the poker world. Who are we going to be having?
Poker Coach to the Stars, Tommy Angelo, and Poker Pro Nick Zingarelli. These guys joined us on our very first episode. It was my very first interview as I was in Las Vegas, and I am so excited to have these guys back. We're going to actually, I've asked these guys to put together a poker coaching session to actually show what it's like to go through a poker coaching session with Tommy. And then we're going to break it down after that. So very exciting coming up in hour number 2. Look forward to that.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been a blast. We appreciate everybody that listens. We appreciate our good friend Noah Van Bree coming on and hanging out with us. Clemson John getting energetic, and we should probably call him after this and make sure he's okay. And then Eric Ewing with the APO.
That's right. Yeah, that's so exciting. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk some poker. Hey, everyone. Back with us from our very first episode is Poker Coach to the Stars, Tommy Angelo, and Poker Pro Nick Zingarelli. Guys, welcome.
Good to be back.
Hi.
Good to be back. Thanks, David.
Yeah, I can't tell you what a great response, not only from our first show, but a few months ago we did a poker segment, and ever since then all I've been hearing is let's do more poker. So I'm so happy you guys come back and join me.
Good to be back. Thanks for having us.
Right on. Hey Nick, how's poker been going, man? Like, let us know what the update is. How's your game been?
So since I was with you back in November, that was right about the time that I was starting an experiment with adding Pot Limit Omaha to my game. And it was a very interesting experience. I'm glad that I traveled that journey, but it is not a road that I'm interested in going back down anytime soon. It is an incredibly swingy game. And I think Tommy will probably tell you that it was both a blessing and a curse that I started out as strong in terms of how I ran in this game from the beginning, because it felt like I could just show up and print money, provided that I stayed, patient and tight and just had a good solid starting range. And the last session that I played of PLO was actually in Washington, D.C., and I had so many great starting hands, I can't even begin to talk about it, and then just got absolutely annihilated on every single one of them. And it was the biggest loss that I'd had at PLO. And that was when I finally said, I got to put this on a shelf, not touch it again. Interestingly, since then, I've been on a fantastic run with Cash Hold'em. And I don't know if that's entirely an accident that has happened after going down the Omaha road, because it has made me so much more comfortable with variance and playing towards having a hand that's going to be fantastic at showdown, as opposed to necessarily getting married to what might be a good starting hand, but not necessarily a good finishing hand. And those are some concepts that are really important in Omaha that have some translation in Hold'em. Tommy, what were some of your observations in coaching me through that saga?
Well, I'm when I got your email saying how bad it was going at PLO, I tried not to feel bad about sending you down that road, and I don't, no matter how bad it went, because it's all part of the growth. It's like every hand we play in some way contributes to our skill and experience as a poker player. It doesn't matter what game it is. The thing I keep telling you all the time is the best thing you can be doing for your game is playing a lot.
Right.
And if you go play some game that you're uncomfortable with and get your ass handed to you for whatever reason, the pain brings growth, brings experience. So yeah, you can try to connect the dots and say you're doing better now because maybe that Omaha experience had something to do with it. And I would say absolutely. All of the dots are always connected all the time. Like right now, we were introducing some ideas to your game that are a little bit new and uncomfortable, and you're going in. We're not going to go into that today, but the idea is you got to keep adding new stuff to the mix no matter what it is, whether you're an athlete or a writer or a musician or poker player. Gaining new experiences all the time is part of the growing path, and some of those are painful, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
so Tommy, there's a metaphor for life there somewhere. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Tommy, it's one of the things I don't play as often as both of you, but one of the things I do have trouble with is transitioning from PLO to Hold'em and Hold'em back to PLO. Any suggestions?
Yeah, just play really, really tight before the flop all the time at PLO.
Yeah.
Go get my book called Waiting for Straighters. It's really short. The first half of it, it's about pre-flop at Hold'em. The second half is about pre-flop at Omaha. The pre-flop guidelines in that have been approved by Phil Galfond directly to me personally. And you just can't really go wrong. No matter what form of pot limit you're playing, there's certain aspects of pot limit that apply to all pot limit games, whether it's Omaha or Hold'em, whatever. Those skills you have to develop somehow. How to play the flop, turn, and river, stack sizes, and all that. independent of all that, the one thing you can do if you're playing PLO is be extremely patient before the flop. You wait for a really good starting hand and you wait till you hit the flop. Okay. Now, as you get very advanced as a player in general, then you can bring more bluffing into the game and more zigging and zagging. But if you want to basically guarantee having an edge in any loose PLO game, all you have to do is wait for premium starters. And I mean really premium starters.
So I have it's how I've always played pot limit, and Omaha in general is either I have the nuts or I'm drawing to the nuts. I don't know if that's a proper approach or not, but that's just really the basis of how I play.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are your results like?
In PLO, over my lifetime, have been very good.
Okay,
yeah.
Well,
yeah, limit Omaha, not as much, but pot limit, yes,
yeah,
it works.
Uh-huh. So you got any hands you want to talk about, Nick?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, let's get into it, right?
So as we've talked about previously, Tommy is my coach. He's coached to a wide variety of players, both low stakes all the way up to high stakes players. So one of the things we're going to do is an example of how Tommy and I go through coaching together so that you all can kind of see how this works. Not all of you have experienced coaching before. So hopefully this will be beneficial to you. So Tommy, I got my ass kicked in this hand, and let's talk about it here. It was my last.
I don't know why I'm laughing, Nick. I'm sorry. I don't know why I find it funny. I'm sorry.
Oh no, but it's true. No, I mean other people's misery can always be hilarious. You know? Sometimes your own misery can be hilarious if you look at it the right way. So this was my last hand of the night. I was in the big blind, and I looked down at Ace Queen offsuit. The straddle was on in this game. It was a 5-10 game, which is the biggest cash game that this particular room will spread. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't always regularly go. Saturday night, so, a little bit of a looser player pool than there might otherwise be.
Okay.
Under the gun straddle is on, so effectively 5-10-20 for this hand.
Right.
Villain opens to 50.
Hold on, stack sizes. That's the most important data right now. What is it?
Stack sizes for me. Stack size
for the people that ended up in the hand.
Oh, Villain has all of us covered. By a ton. Under the gun player and I are probably comparable stacks. I'm probably sitting at about. Let's call it 1,000 to 1,100.
Okay. So the effective stacks we'll just say is 1,000.
Let's call it that for round number's sake.
Okay.
So Villain opens to 50, so 2.5x on what's the effective blind on this game, and which is pretty standard for his open. If it was a 5-10 hand, a 25 open is relatively standard for him.
And what seat did he open from? Do we know that?
Late position, so it would have either been cut off or button.
Okay.
I've got ace queen offsuit, and I'm not wanting to inflate the pot out of position because based on my history with these two players, if I 3-bet, it is more likely than not that they're both going to call.
Okay, so you don't have much fold equity.
No, not at that point.
Okay.
So I flat, not surprisingly, under the gun flats also. Seen him play a wide variety of hands. The villain in this hand is a very competent pro. He has a wide range of starting hands. He worships at the altar of GTO. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So flop is 9-4-2 rainbow. I check, and it checks around. Under the gun checks and villain checks. The turn is another 4. Under the gun checks and villain fires for 100, so 2/3 pot.
Okay.
I call partly as a float, but also partly because I may be good here. This villain and I have a lot of history together. I have seen him make big bluffs with just king high and total air. In fact, I saw him do a massive river shove against another player with a missed draw just earlier in this session.
Okay.
So I'm okay with a flat here, or just a call. Under the gun folds, so we're heads up.
All right.
River is an ace, and I'm checking, fully intending to set up a check raise.
Okay.
Villain asks how much I have left, and I, indicate, somewhere around 8-ish. I put my chips in front of me so he can see them. He puts 3 purple chips out, which is the equivalent of 3,000. So overbetting to put me all in.
Right.
I snap call because he's doing exactly what I wanted him to do, which was to create a bet so that I could try to get all my chips in the middle. He flips 3-4, 4 trips, and I'm out of there. And probably for good reason, because if I would have sat back down and reached into my chip bag and put more on the table, I would not have been playing my optimum style.
Right. Well, that's another thing we've worked on a lot is good quitting skills.
Yes.
And you did deploy those here.
Well, I deployed the quitting skills at this hand, but maybe not for this session.
So I just want to review this because it's really hard to keep track of all this just listening. I'm going to just review the hand. Okay. Sure. People listening a little bit. So you've got ace queen in the blind. A very tough player raises in late position, and you call, and one other person is in between you. So it's 3-handed. Flop comes 9-4 deuce rainbow. You check. Second player checks. The tough villain checks.
Correct. We
go to the turn, and the middle card pair, the 4. So now it's 9-4, 3-4. Or 9-4 deuce 4.
9-4-2-4. Correct.
9-4 deuce 4. Okay. You checked. The other guy checked. The villain bet 100, and there's about 150 in the pot before he bets. You called 100. The other opponent folds. So now there's 350 in the pot, and you've got about 850 left. Just Correct. To put some numbers on this, right?
Yes.
So the river comes. What was the river?
Ace.
Oh, ace, right. Giving you top pair, second top quick kicker with ace queen. You check. He bets 850 effectively, your stack, and you call. So that's the story. And you lost because he had started with 3-4. So his opening hand was 3-4 at late position, which is typical for a tough pro at late position. They're going to make those types of plays. Let's make it clear. That's not a crazy expectation, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, and against most players, and this might have been a mistake on my part, against most players, I'm taking almost all of the 4s out of their range because they're not opening with any 4s. Maybe some ace-4 combos, but more often than not, that flop is about as dry as it gets.
Right, generally speaking. But it's not. Yeah, it's really rare that he's going to have a 4, but it does happen. I mean, it absolutely does happen, right?
Yes.
I mean, it just happened. So
it did happen.
In other words, you can't. As we assign weightings to the various. What'd you say?
I said it did happen.
It did happen.
Yes.
We know it. But as we assign various weightings, this is a mistake people make all the time. They say, well, I know he had such and such. Or what that means is, well, there was 97% chance he had such and such, but he might not, right? I mean, you always have to allow for all these contingencies because it's usually the most rare ones are the ones that cost us our stack. When we think, okay, well, there's no way he could have that until he bets 800. And then you're like, well, maybe he does have it. Okay, so you sent me the type version of this hand. So I had a chance to make a couple notes in advance, but then there's a couple other things we want to expand on. So the way I like to go about this hand is like for ours, there's these coaching sessions can take many shapes when we're talking about a hand. One of the things that Nick knows is we look at the particulars of the hand and think, okay, what might have been done better or what was a good play? But then there's what can we extract, what generalities can we take away from this that actually is a learning lesson, right? People tell me all the time, if they just watch, some of the best coaches that make these videos, but if they make a video where they're just talking through a whole bunch of hands, well, there aren't necessarily a bunch of extractable lessons from there. It's when the videos that are good is when somebody, here's a whole video on 3-betting from the blinds, or here's a whole video on checking behind. It's like there's certain patterns we want to zone in on and become experts on. So we're going to do both of that. Okay, both of those things. So before the flop, I do like your reasoning behind not re-raising. He made it, it was 20 to go, he made it 50, and you said you didn't want to inflate the pot. Another reason it's good for not re-raising there is it kind of gives away your hand, to some extent. Like you said, it's deceptive to not re-raise, which is, so I think those are all good reasons to not re-raise.
Which is not to say that I'm never going to raise ace queen from that position. There's plenty of times I can bomb it against a different player pool and potentially either take it down or then be able to continue on exactly that type of a flop.
Right.
And then probably be able to take it down even as a semi-bluff with 2 overs.
Right. When I said it was a good play, I meant in this situation against these players. Yeah, against really bad players who play fit and fold all the time, you could almost raise any 2 cards there and c-bet the flop, and it would be profitable, right?
Right.
So, yeah, there are definitely times where you should 3-bet there, but this wasn't one of them. So I agree with that. Then the flop came. Okay, so when it checked around, I want to ask you let's just not worry about the middle player for now. Okay, just pretend he's not even in the pot because he's going to get out. But the villain, okay, when he checked behind in last seat with that super dry board, this is the most pivotal spot of the hand in terms of the card reading. Okay, what do you think he had?
Something very similar to me, which is a couple of overcards.
So let me ask you this. If he had ace king, do you think he would have checked?
Ace king? Probably not.
Well, then what do you think he would check any hand with an ace?
Not with an ace, but he's capable of a lot of connected paint.
So let's say he had jack 10 offsuit. Do you think he would check that hand?
Maybe.
You don't think he would just try to win the pot right there with a bet? I mean, you said he's a GTO player, right? A GTO player is going to bet here like 100% of the time. A lot of times they're going to bet 1/3 of the pot, right?
That's true, but number one, it's a multi-way pot. Number two, the flop is a texture, from my perspective anyway, that it crushes both a blind and an under-the-gun defend range. Could have a
Say
lot.
that again?
I said it crushes both an under the gun and a blind defend range.
What does?
9-4 deuce, because how many pairs of 9s, pairs of 4s, pairs of deuces are you just doing a flat defend there? You're not likely to do a 3-bet. So check. I mean, I could totally see him checking on a multi-way to then reevaluate on the turn. And then when he sees 2 check throughs and also happens to hit the miracle card of getting trips, then he's saying, okay, now I'm going for equity.
When he checked the turn after he hit trips?
So he checked the flop.
Oh, he bet the turn. I see.
To reevaluate our action.
I think if there's a mistake in your thinking, I think you really need to be thinking more specifically about ranges. Okay. So some of the very likely hands that people do raise with, good players and bad, is pocket pairs. So you got to look at all the pocket pairs. So to me, if a really good player like that, who is almost always going to c-bet the flop, a dry flop like that in position, it's really a huge mistake to not bet any 2 cards there, right? I mean, if it was you, how could you not bet half pot there to try to take it down with such a dry board? So to me, that check polarizes his range, and polarized means he's either got a really good hand or nothing. Really nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe a draw, okay? So let's just say he had 5-3, all right? And he flopped an open end straight. That's the type of hand where a good player might check behind because they don't want to go ahead and bet and get check raised and get pushed off the pot.
Well, no, in that situation, he would have flopped a backdoor
open end. The flop's 9-4 deuce. I'm saying if he flopped an open end straight with 5-3.
All night. Yeah. You're right.
If he flopped an open end straight, that's the type of hand he might check behind with.
Sure.
Right. But if he flopped a set, let's say he had all these hands are possible, right? He could have 3 9s, he could have 3 4s, he could have 3 deuces. These are the hands he might check behind with. This is what I mean by polarized range. Another hand he might check behind with that's really good is pocket aces, maybe pocket kings. Okay. These are hands you should, as soon as he checks, your red flag should go off and you should think he could have aces, he could have a set. Those should be in the forefront of your mind, right? Mm-hmm. Then the other hands that he would maybe check with are, I can't think of any others, really. I just can't imagine a good player checking there. Now, the fact that he ended up with this 4-3 and it became an unusual hand is irrelevant to this discussion. All we're talking about is what should you be thinking about at that time? Mm-hmm. Okay, you should be trying to figure out what the hell has he got that he would check behind. That's a very, very unusual play in this spot with that board. And that's why right at that moment you should, and I don't mean this hand, I mean for the future. Every time this happens, you got to be very leery. Very often they're going to have pocket aces there or they're going to have a set. A good player. Now, I'm talking about a good player who was capable of bluffing there. So the turn comes a 4. Now, at that moment, you should be thinking to yourself, when he checked, polarized range, you're either way behind or you're very likely ahead. Maybe he did decide to check behind with Jack 10, right? Nothing. Okay? Right. So when the 4 hits, you should be betting. I think this should be an automatic bet here because you need to protect your hand in case it's the best hand, and it probably is. Most of the time, you're going to have the best hand against most opponents when it goes check, check, check. And then if anybody stays in with that board after a check flop, you know you're beat, right? Nobody's just going to like chunk money in there with like king, queen. Somebody might peel the flop with king, queen, try to hit a pair, but nobody's going to call the turn with nothing at that moment. So I really think that you missed a bet there on the turn, but more importantly, it isn't that was a mistake in the microcosm. The more important thing is what you should be thinking is everybody checked. I'm either way behind because somebody's slow playing or I probably got the best hand. And as soon as that 4 comes, which is like the safest card possible, then I think betting out there is a good play. What do you think of all that?
So let's play the tape differently then. Let's say that I do lead out, and let's look at the two possible outcomes there. He's obviously never folding because he's got
no. When you lead out, that we can't do double dummy like bridge and say how would I play against that hand. When you lead out, one of the options is that they both fold. Mm-hmm. Period. Right? That's going to happen like more than half the time. That's why leading out here is a great play. Because you actually do have fold equity. The hands that are worse than yours are going to fold, like 100% of the time, right? And chances are both hands are worse than yours.
But if you face a raise in that situation, again, taking away the fact of what they actually have.
Okay.
So let's say we flip it, and instead of him leading for 100, I lead for 100.
Right.
And then let's say villain then raises to 300.
Right.
Snap fold.
Right. Last money, when you put that 100 in there, that's it. You're done. You're not putting any more money in. Period. That's what makes it such a great bet.
Yeah. Yeah. And the irony is that in this very session against this very player, I had pocket kings earlier. Mm-hmm. In fact, I was in the blind in that situation, and I did 3-bet him, and he defended. Mm-hmm. And the flop came out ace high and then turned the ace. And in that situation, I actually did lead for 100 as a feeler bet, and then he raised to 400. Mm-hmm. Now, you and I have talked about that hand before, and that should have been a fold, but it wasn't. And that also probably in some way fueled this particular hand. Rarely is one hand looked at in a vacuum or isn't played in a vacuum. It's played with all of these other hands, maybe not just from that day, but from, weeks, months, years before against that common competition. But similar situation there. And ironically, I did lead there, but I was intending to lead more for value as opposed to probe. And if I would have treated that as a probe, then probably would have saved me a ton of money on that particular hand.
Well, whenever you're making these bets, and I know we've talked about this is one of the most important skills there is anticipation. Before you bet, you should already know what you're going to do if you get raised every time, right? So when you bet out with this ace queen, now just to review, we're on the turn, the board's 9-4, deuce 4, you're in the blind, it was checked around the flop, and you bet, let's say you did bet the turn for 100. Mm-hmm. Well, you already know if somebody raises, I'm folding. That's what makes it psychologically easy to bet the 100. And that's also what makes it convincing, because you can do it with your demeanor. There's no question. There's no stress. There's no doubt in your mind about what you're doing. So that when you do it and they look at you, you look confident and strong because you are. You know everything. You can see the future. Go ahead.
I got a question, guys. What about leading out on the flop in that spot? What if he leads on the flop? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, okay, so leading on the flop, should I field this? Okay. Leading on the flop here, the correctness of leading on the flop here depends in large degree on your tendencies of what you do on the flop in these situations, right? So if you're a type of player who, let's say the flop, you had Jack 10 suited and the flop was 9-8 deuce, and you flop a straight flush draw. If you're the type of person who routinely bets out when you have a huge draw, and you also routinely bet out when you flop a set, then betting out here is great because you're mixing it up. Sometimes you're betting out with not much. Sometimes you're betting out with a draw. Sometimes you're betting out with a set. They can't read you. I've got some clients who always check the flop 100% of the time. So that has the advantage of range balancing, as it's called, because you cannot read anything into their check because they check with their good hands and they check with their bad hands. So Nick, I believe, is in the habit of checking to the razor, as they call it, as your default, right? So like if you had flopped a set, you probably would have checked. Mm-hmm. So because his pattern is to check, then the correct play is to check. Right. In the big picture.
No, by and large, I am not donk leading, especially in early position, because it's completely outside of my tendencies. For one thing, and also in a multi-way pot.
But my tendency here is I do lead out a lot. My tendency here with this hand is like there's basically three choices: lead out, check and call, check and raise. Those are the three choices. Of those three, check calling is by far the worst.
Right.
By far the worst. You don't gain any information. You don't have a hand. It's just like, and I don't mean on this hand, I just mean in general. That's a bad pattern. I would have no problem check raising with the ace queen on the flop in this situation against a guy whose range is super wide. There's a very good chance you have the best hand. You're creating dead money by pushing the third guy out. You're putting him to the test, which is the name of the game in No Limit, right? And you're playing live poker. You might get a read at that moment, even if he calls there. Let's say he does call with his one pair, 3-4, but he didn't improve, right? You're going to go ahead and c-bet. He's going to have to fold. He's going to have to put you on a 9, period, right? So, and then leading out is not a terrible play either with ace queen because there's a good chance you have the best hand. It is a probe. It's a probe bet if they have you beat. It's a value bet if they don't. It covers all bases.
So let me ask a quick question, Nick. On this hand, once you hit your ace on the river, what did it cost you again?
My stack.
Your stack.
800.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to rub it in. No, I'm just curious. No, I'm asking. It cost you your stack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Because this particular villain put me all in, and he basically took what looked like he made his bet look like a misdraw. He did an overbet because it was better than 2x pot in what he put out there. So he either has everything or he has nothing. And since I intentionally floated the turn, I mean, when the ace gets there, I don't see any world in which I'm folding.
Okay. Yeah, once you make your best hand, right?
Right. I mean, if not, what was the point in me playing it to the end?
Right.
I mean, based upon my mindset, that's not to say that there weren't missteps leading up to that.
Right.
But, just capturing that particular moment, the river, I mean, I got exactly what I wanted. It just happened to be that he had a very disguised trips.
Okay, I got a question for you, just to so somebody like me can understand, and some of our listeners and whoever's watching. GTO, you want to explain that?
Yeah, game theory optimal is what that stands for, and it is varying your play so significantly and so consistently based upon a particular starting hands and then what you do after the flop, turn, river, that it makes it incredibly difficult to be able to play against you, to put you on particular ranges. The thinking is that you're assigning certain percentages to hands as to, okay, 20% of the time I'm going to flat this hand, 60% I'm going to raise, 20% I'm going to fold to a 3-bet. Like, I mean, it's very specific percentages that then end up being assigned to it. It's like a really complicated math problem when you put it all together. And it's very difficult to master because you are thinking about all of the different combinations of hands in poker and then all of the potential betting outcomes and then adjusting that based upon position. It takes a remarkable amount of study to be able to do it proficiently across the board. You're basically becoming like a solver, meaning like a computerized poker program where you're randomizing your play enough that you just can't know whether or not it is that they have it or they don't, or even what it is that they have to begin with.
Okay.
That was a great explanation, because even though I understand it, it still sounds like gobbledygook, which it really, to a lot of people in practice, that's what it comes down to, because the study and the analysis is brilliant and beautiful. It's basically the same stuff that's happened to chess and everything else when you get AI and computers involved, right? But the problem with GTO is that the whole thing is based on learning a baseline correctness for every million situations, but then adjusting it based on real game situations. So for example, here's the best example of where GTO makes me money. Okay. Let's say you've got a player who bluffs too much. What that means is if you check to them on the turn, they're going to bet. Like every time. And they can't have a hand every time, right? And then if you call there and you check to them on the river again, they're going to bet every time. We're taking an extreme case. They bluff way too much. The right way to play against that player is not to try to guess which times they're bluffing. Okay? The right way to play them is to call every single time, like if you have one pair. You don't even think about it. This is what GTO does. Once you recognize the patterns, you take it out. Now, you just do the same thing every time. Now, if you're looking at the detailed situation, I have this hand, this hand, this hand. GTO, the baseline, and they call it unbeatable because it is if you do these frequencies right. The baseline frequency might be, I should call 60% of the time here. But against this player, you adjust it. Oh, no, against him, I would call 100%. Well, if you've never heard of GTO and you play poker a lot, you're going to go through that same analysis in your head naturally. It's naturally how we think anyway, okay? And so there are some aspects of the GTO that are really valuable, like I just said. Once you know somebody is doing something way too much one way or the other, the countermeasure is to do the other thing 100% of the time. That's actually great. Anything that takes the guesswork out of it is great, right? But when it comes to learning the minutia of GTO at the level that Nick is playing at and the level of opponents he's playing at, like he said, the amount of effort it takes to go into that and then learn to do the adjustments is not going to be as fruitful ultimately as just learning poker the old-fashioned way, I guess is the way to put it.
Well, and I mean the amount of away from the table study that I believe that it needs in order to really be able to implement it.
Yeah.
In an effective way, like if you're playing straight GTO without deviations, it's incredible how much.
It's thousands of hours, not hundreds.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean it is a doctorate level course.
It is
of study in order to get there. Which I mean, so that means in order to really implement it, I think you have to be a full-time pro. Like this has to be what you do as your livelihood, because there's not enough hours in the day to become a solid GTO player as a part-timer or a rec player.
Right.
There's concepts from it that you can apply for sure.
Yeah, right. That's where I was going to ask you is, so what is someone who plays part-time that actually works for a living, that plays, let's say 25 to 30 hours a week, which is a substantial amount of time. What are either one of you, any suggestions on, like you said, Nick, take pieces from it, right?
Oh, you mean there's really no point in them. You know, you could read Andrew Brokos's book, Play Optimal Poker, and you will learn, he does a great job of explaining GTO in regular layman's terms. You can read that book and you will have a full understanding of what GTO is. Maybe you'll be able to implement some of it, but that's really enough. It's not necessary.
Yeah, I think it's more it's not so much a matter of having a rigid adherence to particular starting hands percentage of, raise, fold, and so forth. It's more about being able to apply the concept of it in varying your play enough to then start to make you far less predictable than you would be otherwise.
Yeah, there's an advantage of that. But I'll just say it's possible to create exactly as much deception and confusion in their minds without ever reading anything about GTO. It's like GTO is based largely on that stuff. But like I said, people play GTO style without even knowing GTO. It ultimately ends up being good poker.
All right. Well, and to that point, I mean, for people that are primarily playing in their local card room, there is, unless you live in DC, Vegas, or Florida, and to a lesser extent maybe California, you are going to keep running into the same players over and over again. And then that's where, in my opinion, you can make adjustments.
Right.
You can alter your play based upon your history with those particular players. If it's completely random, if you are in Vegas, and even then you're going to run into a lot of the same players over and over again. But, if you're primarily going after the tourists, then, maybe there is more of a benefit in that because you don't have hand histories to go off of because you may never see this particular player again.
Mm-hmm.
But again, to Tommy's point, the level of study that it requires in order to be a quote unquote GTO player is off the charts, and it's more based upon principles and concepts than it is GTO adherence.
Okay, Nick, you talked about leaving the game, and this is one of the things that just in general, whether I'm stuck or whether I just believe if the game is good, it's time to rebuy. I feel I can get my money back and winner. That's just my theory. I want to talk to you guys about how you feel about when it's time to leave a game or to rebuy and sit back.
I'd like to feel this.
Oh, and I got one right behind you, Tommy. But,
okay, no, you go.
No, you go first. You go first.
Okay, so my book, Elements of Poker, has 144 elements in it, and I started with the topic of quitting because it was the most important topic in terms of the topics I'd worked with my clients with that made the biggest difference in their bottom line. So this topic is one I've been writing about, teaching about, and then for 20 years, and then for 15 years before that, when I was grinding full time, is when I went through all my own quitting struggles, and I had them all. I'm going to debunk what you just said. Oh, the game is good, I got to keep playing. Okay. Well, if you're a professional poker player, one of your jobs is to find good games. So let's say you're really, really good at that. So you're playing in good games all the time. Well, if the theory is if the game is good, I should keep playing, then you would never quit. You would just simply play one session until you died in the chair. Right? So there has to be some reason.
Which has happened, Tommy, at some point.
Well, I know. I've played at least 5 40-hour sessions in my life and hundreds of 20-hour sessions. Okay. I've died in the chair plenty of times. But the point is that what is the objective? Is the objective to just feed the poker junkie, or is the objective to enjoy every day of our lives as a human being with balance and grace and health? Okay? Once you start mixing the higher priorities of life into your poker life, then the quitting decision has nothing to do with the game itself. It has to do with your own mind. I mean, whether the game is good, right? If you've lost 2 buy-ins and you're all frazzled like this and you're like, oh, I need to get even. Well, you're not going to be able to play your A+ game there. It's impossible. That's why you should quit. If you're going to a movie with your family, a matinee the next day, and it's like 4 a.m, and you're like, oh, I think the game's good, I'm going to play another hour, and you already know that that's going to make you too tired the next day, so whatever you had planned, you're going to be miserable. To me, that shit is way, way more important than, oh, they're playing loose, I got to keep playing. So the reason we keep playing that extra hour or two has nothing to do with the game being good. It's just that we're a junkie, we're an addict, we got the needle in our arm, and we don't want to quit. You just got to face that fact. And that's okay. That's all okay, but that's part of the growth process.
Well, I mean, I said that in general terms of meaning like you can't quit, right? And I want to, but yes, the junkie in me wants to keep playing, get my money back.
Yeah.
You have to, with the theory is to look at the big picture, right? Tomorrow's another day.
Exactly.
Right? And
I need some sleep. I'm leaving, period.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
go ahead, Nick. You had a story or something.
Yeah.
No, I do. So it actually builds off of this very session where the hand we were talking about. Like I said, it was the last hand of the session. It was also about 7 to 8 hours deep into the session. Which is a longer session, probably by about 2x than what I normally play anymore. Ever since I started shortening my sessions, I've actually become more profitable because, I mean, if you are really going to be dialed in playing, the game will exhaust you because there is so much that you are paying attention to. And no matter how good the game is, if you are playing it tired, or just overwhelmed from how much information you've consumed, doesn't matter how good the game is, you're not going to play your best and you're probably going to give money away. To that point, during that session, I was up about 1,200 at my highest point. And then I ended up getting felted. So I walked away with nothing. Still only lost 1 buy-in, as it were, which, at least there's that. But, if I would have left at optimal time, then that would have been a profitable session, and we're not discussing this hand because we never would have gotten to it. Right. Now, conversely, this past Sunday, amazing game on a Sunday night, which is not all that typical. And I did get to the point. I'd been playing for maybe about 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, man, this game is really good. And I said to myself, well, there's always going to be more money to be made. But if I keep playing, there's also going to be money to be lost. And that's when I just said, it's time to go. Wrapped up, and I was gone. And I'm very grateful that I did, because we might have an entirely different set of things to analyze right now.
Well, that's called listening to the quitting voice, right? You're sitting there playing, everything's fine, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this idea comes in, hey, I should quit, for whatever reason. Usually it's fear of losing more money or whatever.
That's a real voice, Tommy. That's a real voice.
No, it's a very important voice to listen to. And you don't question it. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, and
I want to play.
Tommy brought up the elements of poker, and there's one of my favorite quotes from his book is, if you keep playing, ask yourself what your plus X is. Will you end up with Y? And, that's a math reference, of course, X being the variable. What's your plus X? If I get this much more, did that make it worth it? You end up with Y, a different variable, and double meaning on that, meaning WHY. Why did I keep playing?
Right. And just to clarify, the idea there is like, let's say you're up 1,000 in the game, and then you blow back 500. So now you're up 500, and now the voice comes in and says, lock up the win, right? You got to ask yourself, if you keep playing and you win another 500, how much happiness is that going to cause you? Let's say X, okay? But if you keep playing and you lose another 500, how much unhappiness is that going to cause? And then as soon as there's this huge imbalance where the losing is going to cause extreme pain, but the happiness is not going to cause that much more joy, that's when the quitting voice comes in, and it's fear-based and says, let's go.
All right, so I want to change a little bit direction. Is what's the proper buy-in for each game? Should you always buy in max, whatever's allowed?
Go ahead, Nick.
Necessarily. No, it's very game dependent, and this is something that Tommy has taught me. Generally, you want your buy-in to be the stack of the player that you believe has the greatest likelihood to then make you money.
The worst players.
Yeah.
Right.
So you want to match the stack of the worst player at the table, because that's the only way that you can get the entirety of their stack. If you are sitting with a table full of sharks, you actually might want to min buy in order to get you some more information and then evaluate, knowing that you can always top off later.
So one way to look at it is every time you're buying in, which is the same as rebuying. So let's say you buy in and later you lose your stack. Now you have to rebuy. These are decisions. The amount to buy in for and the amount to rebuy are poker decisions, no different than betting or quitting. Every decision matters, right? So what I do, and I've been playing regularly again down at Oaks, they have a 5-10 game with 1,000 maximum buy-in, which is a little weird, but a lot of the bad players will start out with 500. All the good players start out with the maximum, 1,000. So I start out every session with 500. It'll be me with 500 and two bad players with 500, and all the better players have 1,000. This way, if I get all in on a pot, the only way I can get all in against a good player is on a side pot against them solo, right? Now, here's the beauty of it. The thing that's good about starting small is you can always add on. If you start big, you can't take it off, right? So let's say I'm sitting there and I'm playing with 500, and one of the bad players doubles up to 1,000. And then the other bad player doubles up to 1,000. I immediately add on 500, immediately, for the reason Nick said. But I think especially if you're playing in Vegas or whatever, and you're playing against people you don't know any of them, buy in small until you get a feel for the game, till you get comfortable, till you're relaxed, and then you can always add on, no problem.
Okay. What about you're up $1,000 and you're not done? You don't want to give back the money, but you're not done. You still feel like you have play in you, and do you quit the game, sit out an hour? A lot of casinos have the rule, or poker rooms have the rule, sit out an hour, and you can come back with a fresh min buy.
With the smaller buy-in? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just a typical decision, money management decision.
I mean, I don't like it, me personally. But I mean, I get it. If you're going to then say, okay, I'm going to rack up a win, and then I'm going to go play small stakes, and then basically change the game for the rest of the night. I don't have a problem with that in concept. I do have a problem with the sit out and then sit back down. I personally think that it's bad for the game. It's a little disingenuous. It's like a side way to be able to go south. I'm not a fan of it. I understand that people do it and it's within the rules, but I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, okay, I'm not a fan of it either. I don't do it, but I'm just saying it is within the rules. Right. And if you feel like doing it, it's okay.
It is within the rules. So I'm going to play the other side of this, Nick, is you are in charge of your money. This is your job to make money.
Right.
So within the boundary, I hear what you're saying. I totally get it, and I agree with you. But the other end of it is your job's to go home with more money than you came with.
No, that's true.
And,
but I also
if this provides that option, then I don't see why it's a terrible thing to do.
Well, but that's looking at it as single session. And I think you have to look at it long term, especially if that's your homeroom, because people will then view you as being somebody that's locking up a win whenever they can, and then you're effectively going south. And I mean, your fellow players, your fellow regs are going to have a bad taste in their mouth against you.
Yeah, but the only reason people do that, the only people that do that are bad players, right? Because if I'm playing in this game and I get up to where I've got 2,000 or 3,000 on the table, now I can really make some money against the other guys that have 2,000 or 3,000. That's the last time in the world I would want to reduce my stack on purpose. So everything you're talking about, David, is based on what's called stop loss. Okay. You're taking action. Like, for example, let's say you decide to only take $1,000 with you instead of 3,000, because you know if you get $1,000 stuck, you're going to go on tilt and blow the other two. Yeah. That's a form of stop loss. So the impulse to lock up a win is a stop loss mentality. Okay, in the highest state of poker existence, that doesn't even exist. Because that fear is not there.
Yeah. I definitely, I agree with you, Nick. I don't do it myself when I do play. What do you guys think about, and once again, you're trying to make money, but giving action to get action. What I see a lot of the time is players won't give players action, they won't give them action. So how do you incorporate that into your game? Tommy, you want to start, or Nick?
No, Nick's. I can see him cooking up an answer.
I mean, does what I'm saying make sense?
Yeah.
A lot of players will just fold to you when you raise. They're not, because they already know what you have. But if you're giving them action, they might play with you a little.
Yeah. So I think it's finding ways to be, at least have the perception of action without maybe necessarily being like, just like gamble. If there is round of bomb pots, don't be the guy that skips the bomb pot, because then you're going to get painted as a nit. If everybody has agreed that we're going to do an under the gun straddle, do the under the gun straddle. Is it optimal to put more money voluntarily in the pot in one of the worst positions on the table? No, it's terrible, especially blind. But it's good for the game as a whole, and it's basically just adding another blind to the game. And all you got to do is fold, So, and I think you can loosen up your play, based upon position, which then allows you to be able to play more gambly types of cards. So there's ways to be able to do it while still playing really good strategy. Just don't be the guy that sits there and plays for 3 hours and only plays aces and kings.
I agree with every single word of that. All of it.
Yeah. I've noticed, I'm just in my game in general, Tommy, and maybe help me a little bit with this. I noticed that I used to play too loose. Mm-hmm. I used to play out of position a lot and really just play bad. And I went kind of form reversal is I decided I liked my money, and I went to being tight weak. So there's got to be a happy medium for me, right? And how do I get there? Just a few ideas of how do I get there, going from literally one extreme to the other. I know it's a broad question, and
it is. But if you break down, if you make a 2x2 grid of there's tight and loose, aggressive and passive, that defines 4 types of players: tight, passive, tight, aggressive, loose, tight, and the other one. Okay, the one that is the winner is tight aggressive. Tight aggressive, meaning you don't play very many hands, but when you do play them, you play them aggressively and you play sticky, right? So I'll give you an example. You got pocket fives in the big blind. Somebody opens and somebody else 3-bets. So it's like you're playing 2-5. Somebody makes it 20, somebody else makes it 60, and the stacks are like 1,500. So you got plenty to call here. So you call. The flop comes 9 deuce deuce, and you've got pocket fives. And you bet out into both of these guys. That's tight aggressive, right? Because you're playing so tight, they're like, wow, maybe he's got queens. Maybe he flopped a set. So, but let's say you didn't bet out. Let's say you decided to check. And this guy checks, and the last guy bets. And you realize, well, he might have a bigger pair, but he might have ace king or ace queen or ace 10. So you decide to check raise him right there on the flop, even though you didn't hit the 5. These are examples of tight aggressive. You wait and wait and wait for that pocket pair, and you'd like to flop a set, but you're not just going to give up every time you don't flop a set.
Right. So in that scenario, you check raise, and then you get repop. You get 3-bet.
Then you fold. See, but that's part of the style. Look at here. Picture you're playing with me. Okay, I'm sitting there like this. I call your raise before the flop. The flop comes. I check to you, you check, and bam, instantly, you bet like 80, and I already know how much I'm going to raise, and bam, I just throw, whatever, 270 into the pot. And I'm sitting there like this, and then you're looking at me, and let's say you flopped a set. You got a huge hand, right? And you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then you fumble around, and you bet 600. And then boom, I just muck. And I'm like this. Tight aggressive with this demeanor is the scariest form of poker there is. When you're up against somebody who can raise you and then fold on the same street without batting an eye, there's nothing scarier than that. You're like, what the hell did he have? What's he doing? Did he know I had? So tight aggressive is like an attitude. It's like, I'm in this pot and you're in for trouble, right? But you have to be tight. You have to play very, very, very few hands. But when you do play them, you play them with zeal.
See, so it's interesting because, Tommy, you heard that, and I heard something different when he talked about, wanting to hold on to his money. I immediately thought of bankroll management. I'm immediately thinking, are you playing with scared money? Are you playing in a game that's over your head in terms of what you're putting on the table versus what you're prepared to lose? Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that also has to be evaluated too, is in order to be able to play the style that Tommy's talking about, you got to be okay with losing that 270 check raise that then goes right into 600. I mean, that's part of the game. And I mean, you're going to lose those. In the long run, you're going to win if you're playing good, solid poker, but you're going to lose hands. So if you're uncomfortable with losing that 270, then number one, you can't play at least that size of a game, or at least you shouldn't be, because you're not going to play optimally.
Yep.
One of the things that terms that's way overused in poker is pot odds. So, and I'm not saying I know what pot odds actually means in every scenario, right? So how can somebody who is using the term wrong and to use it properly to their game, can we simplify a way of so somebody can understand exactly what pot odds is? And I know it's like, oh, I know what pot odds is. A lot of people don't. They use it. Mm-hmm. They use the term, and they're incorrect most of the time, is what I'm finding.
Go ahead,
Nick.
Well, I think it depends on whether you're talking about actual odds or implied odds, because those are two different concepts.
So can you explain?
Yeah, that's what they're. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Explain it both.
So the actual odds is just going to be, are you getting the right price based upon the bet that was made at that point and what is in the pot to be able to call it based upon the statistical chances that you are going to hit your hand, or your hand is going to hold up against whatever it is that you are likely to be facing based upon the perceived range.
And this is pot odds. That's what he's talking about.
That's pot odds. Now, implied odds is...
Well, hold on real quick. So an example, let's say it's on the turn, okay? There's $100 in the pot, and you've got the nut flush draw. and the other guy bets $100. So if you're getting 2-1 on your money. If you win, it costs you $100 to call. If you win, you're going to win 200. Okay, but your chances of hitting the flush are only 1 out of 5.
Right.
So you have to fold, right? But let's say it's on the river and there's 800 in the pot. Let's say you're playing and the guy bets 100, and you have a flush draw. Now you're getting 9-1 on your money on a 5-1, and it's correct to call. This is standard odds stuff. So pot odds is super simple, and it's pure arithmetic.
Okay.
Tommy, I think you misspoke. I think you said on the river, but a turn.
On the turn, right.
Yeah.
But with that, how do you know? How does somebody learn that? It's a learned. You have to learn how to do the math, right? You have to learn how to do the math.
Yeah, all you need to know is this is standard gambling calculations across all forms of gambling. But all you need to know is what are the chances of hitting the flush, right?
Right.
That's easy to look up. Once you know that, you know the chances 1 in 5. Then it's like, am I getting the right price? Like the word Nick used, that's the right lingo, right? The right price means you need to be getting more than 5-1 odds on your investment.
Okay.
And if it's on the flop, then you basically take those odds and you have them, working off of the assumption that you're going to get 2 shots at it.
Well, we don't need to go there. Let's get to implied odds.
Okay. So implied odds is going to be, if you do hit your hand, what are you likely to get paid off from it? So does it then justify that call, even though you're not getting proper pot odds, because the implied odds?
Let me stop you there. Does that mean does that mean at that point you're not getting the proper odds? If you're going to play the hand, you need to raise to make sure that you're getting the right price?
No.
You're getting paid? I mean, I'm not trying to lose
Well, let's go back to my example. So it's on the turn, not the river. It's on the turn. You've got a nut flush draw, 100 in the pot, and the guy bets 100. According to pot odds, you're not getting the right odds, right, to draw. But let's say he's a terrible player and he's got 800 left, and you think he's got a really good hand, so that if you do hit your flush, you're going to win another 500 on the river. So you take the initial pot odds, 200, plus the implied odds. How much are you going to win if you hit? And that comes to 700, which is greater than 5-1, so it's correct to call.
But you're only going to get the implied odds if you get the money in the middle. So
on the river.
So you're saying
implied odds comes after you make your hand.
After you make your hand.
After you hit. Yeah.
But you're only going to get that if he pays you off.
Right. But you have to make that calculation. That's called playing poker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just...
And again, the calculation of those implied odds is going to vary based upon who it is that you're up against.
Yep.
If you're against an absolute rock, or a really solid player that's going to see the flush come in, realize that you very easily can be on a solid flush draw, and you know they're not going to pay you off, then it's probably right to fold there.
Yep.
But if you're against a guy that's on his 6th Bud Light in an hour, and is clearly just there.
What's wrong with that, Nick?
There's nothing wrong with that. I encourage those players to be at my table.
Yeah.
But if they are, just there to spew their money away, then that's that's a live tell. That's a live read that you're picking up for. It's not something that they are doing in their play. It's something that they're doing as part of their play that is then creating the profile that you're creating with that player.
Okay. Tommy, anything else to add to that?
No.
Okay, guys, this has been wonderful. This hour has absolutely flown by. We could go on much, much longer, but before we go, Tommy, let everyone know how to get a hold of you, and let's talk just a little bit before we go about your books and how they can order your books.
Okay, everything you ever need or want to know about me is at my website, tommyangelo.com. I have written 4 poker books, and I've written 1 book about meditation called Dailiness. I've made many videos on poker, some of them in conjunction with others, and they're all there. And I've written about 150 poker articles over the years, and they're all there too. So it's just go to tommyangelo.com. Oh, and I do offer Zoom coaching And all the details of my coaching are at my website too. Easy to find.
Okay. And they can get to you through the website?
TommyAngelo.com.
And they can send you an email through there?
Oh, yeah. You can. My email address is right there on top. Yep.
Nick, sounds like your game is just getting better and better, and a lot has to do with Tommy, right? I mean, your coaching sessions with Tommy, and I can't thank you guys enough for coming on. I know our listeners and the people who are going to watch this. We've recently gone to YouTube, and now they can see you put a face to a name. And Nick, I know you got some things coming up in your near future, and I wish you the best. I really wish you well.
Thank you,
both
David.
well.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So thanks again, guys, for coming on, and we'll have to do this soon. I hope you guys will come back and do this soon with me again.
Anytime.
No, for sure.
Robert, that was fantastic learning experience when it comes to poker, especially with the Ameristar Poker Open coming. I know we did talk strictly about cash games with Nick Zingarelli and Coach to the Stars, Tommy Angelo. Man, what great stuff. You know, you talk about breaking down a hand. I know it sounds technical. I know it sounds difficult. It can, but hope everybody got a little learning experience out of it. And it was what a great time with those guys, and how valuable it is to bounce ideas off someone else. Well, you know, when you play poker, you know, some people try to make money and some people try to just have a good time. But if you're actually trying to make money at it, this was fantastic information.
Yeah, and absolutely, because a lot of times, you know, you're playing the game, you're in your own head, and these guys show how to help with that. So absolutely great information.
All right, Robert, once again, let's let everybody know how to get a hold of us.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to our website, thewinningticket21.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Winning Ticket 21, and then on Twitter, Winning Ticket 20. You can follow us there and get all that info. And then you can also check out our podcast page, as well as our new YouTube channel. You can go to thewinningticket21.com and select the option that says Ways to Listen.
All right, Robert. Had a great week. The Blues, unbelievable. That was so much fun to watch. Robert, have a great week. And I will see you next week. And we're going to talk a little bit of Preakness, just a little bit next time, because we're going to do it right before the Preakness. Yeah. I'll spend a little time breaking that down. So until next week, folks, thanks for watching and listening. Appreciate you.